Only in Kentucky can one county be the home to a Stonehenge replica, and a city built directly on top of a massive cave where they once had the world's only naturally air-conditioned tennis courts. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm learning a little bit more about Kentucky, one county at a time. All 120 of them. And today, I'm learning about Hart County. If you haven't already, I hope you check out the other counties I've covered. They're all listed in the playlist on my profile, and if I haven't covered yours yet, I'll get to it soon, I promise. Going in mostly alphabetical order. As always, if I do miss something or mispronounce something or just forget something altogether, feel free to correct me in the comments so we can all learn together. The story of Hart County isn't just about what is on the surface, it's about a strategic gateway dictated by the geography of the Green River. Long before humans arrived, this was known as Big Buffalo Crossing. It was a physical reality where the river was shallow enough for massive herds of bison to ford the water, creating a natural funnel for migration. Those bison paths eventually became the barrens, a vast grassland that early pioneers used as a highway into the heart of the state. But that natural highway was a dangerous place to be a pioneer in. In 1788, William Smothers and Gilbert Leclerc were ambushed and killed by a group of Indians while trying to settle the land. This was one of the last recorded raids in the region, and it was so chaotic that the attackers actually stole the physical land deeds. And because those papers were gone, legal building in the town was frozen for years until the deeds were finally recovered. When the county was officially formed, at least in 1819, it was named for Captain Nathaniel G.S. Hart. He was a military man, but he was also a brilliant lawyer who studied under his brother-in-law, the legendary Henry Clay. During the War of 1812, Hart commanded the Lexington Light Infantry, and after being wounded and captured at the Battle of Frenchtown, he was promised safe passage home by a British officer he once had helped. But instead, he was betrayed and murdered by his guards. He never lived to see the county that carries his name, and his body wasn't even returned to Kentucky soil until 1834. As the 1800s progressed, Hart County became an industrial powerhouse. The limestone and ore in the hills fueled massive iron furnaces like the Aetna furnace. These were giant stone stacks that I've talked about before, used local timber to create charcoal, which reached high enough temperatures to melt iron ore to mold into tools and utensils. And by 1811, the county had had the first commercial gunpowder mill in the state. It used saltpeter from the local caves to supply the military during the War of 1812, and later the Civil War. The county seat is Munfordsville, and it was established in 1858, named after Richard Jones Munford, who donated the land. But the real shift in power happened with the arrival of the Louisville and Nashville Railroad. Engineer Albert Fink built a massive iron bridge over the Green River that was 1,800 feet long. It was the largest iron bridge in the country at the time, actually, and it was so strategically vital that it became a primary target during the Civil War. Well, in September of 1862, the Battle of Munfordville turned the town into a siege. Confederate General Braxton Bragg wanted that bridge to cut off Union supplies. He surrounded the Union garrison with 25,000 men. The Union commander, Colonel John T. Wilder, was so confused by the sheer size of the force that he actually requested a truce to walk through the Confederate lines and count their cannons himself. Absolutely ridiculous, because after seeing 45 cannons aimed at his troops, he realized he couldn't win, and surrendered over 4,000 men in formal ceremony. Just north of there, the town of Bonneville saw its own share of war. The railroad bridge over Bacon Creek was burned down 3 separate times, including once by John Hunt Morgan. Bonneville is a town with a musical heart. Legend has it that the name was changed from Bacon Creek because the song, My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean, was so popular with the locals that they wanted the town to match the tune. After the war, the world below the surface became the county's focus. Horse Cave is a city literally built around a cave opening on their main street. In the late 1800s, that cave, now known as Hidden River Cave, was a wonder. It powered a dynamo that gave Horse Cave electric lights before almost any other city in the state. They even had the world's only naturally air-conditioned tennis courts near the entrance because the cave stayed a constant 54 degrees year-round. But the story of the cave is also a tragedy of progress, because by the 1960s, raw sewage from the town had leaked into the underground water, and the smell became so toxic that pedestrians had to cross to the other side of the street, and birds would literally fall dead from the sky when flying over the opening. It took almost 50 years of intense cleanup, but today it is getting a lot better, and once again a spectacular destination. The early 20th century also saw the birth of Thelma Stovall in Munfordville. She started working at a tobacco factory at 15 to help her family during the Depression, and then rose to become the first female lieutenant governor in Kentucky in 1975. She fought for labor rights and famously used her power as acting governor to support the Equal Rights Amendment when the primary governor was out of state. Hart County is also home to Kentucky's Stonehenge. In Munfordville, a man named Chester Fryer spent years scouring 1,000 acres of nearby Hatcher Valley. He relocated nearly every massive rock he could find to his own property, arranging them into displays that mimic the world-famous Stonehenge. The area features rock gardens and earth mysteries that attract visitors who are looking for a bit of ancient society, even in rural Kentucky. In 1989, a new cultural layer was added when Amish families moved in from Ohio, and today it is the fastest growing Amish settlement in America. I hear that their horse-drawn buggies are a constant sight on the roads, and their local produce and craftsmanship have become the backbone of the county's modern economy. They have completely transformed the landscape into a hub for farm-to-table type of shopping with a population that now makes up over 10% of the county. The county also saw a biological miracle in 2013 when a hunter shot what turned out to be a gray wolf. This was the first time a wolf had been officially seen in Kentucky in over 150 years. It was a female that had likely wandered hundreds of miles from the Great Lakes region as a lone traveler. In November 2024, the town of Bonneville officially voted to dissolve itself. It was a close 67-60 vote. Many residents felt that their city taxes, which were as low as $30 a year for some, weren't leading to enough improvements in the town. It was a quiet end for a place that was once a major tourist stop on the Old Dixie Highway, featuring its own roller rink and Bond Theater. You also have the tiny community of, where moonshine buyers used to tell people they were going to get their supply to avoid prying eyes. Then there's Hardyville, named for Lieutenant Governor James Green Hardy. And then Three Springs, the birthplace of author Joseph A. Altsheler, who wrote dozens of historical novels that captured the American imagination a century ago. Today, Hart County is a place of extreme contrasts. It has a population of nearly 20,000 people, and it's a manufacturing hub for companies like Sister Schubert's Bakery and Dart Container. It's also a gateway to the Mammoth Cave National Park System, housing the Fisher Ridge Cave System, which is currently mapped at 125 miles long, making it the 5th longest cave in the country. So, that's Hart County. What'd I get wrong this time?